Hey, Karen, what do you think of the new bumper music we're trying here?
It did startle me at first. I was like, wait, what show is this? But then my shoulders started moving uncontrollably, and I'm in.
For those of you who don't know who we are, this is Kyle Brotherson here. I've got my lovely wife, Karen. Say hello, Karen.
Hello, Karen. Not to be confused with the rest of the Karens in the world right now.
Yeah, how did that whole thing happen? I found out really late in this process that Karen was like a derogatory term this year.
Yeah, well, I'm breaking the mold, people. I am breaking the mold.
Well, they already broke the mold on you.
Right? I don't know how it came about, but yeah. It's been funny. Everyone, when I say, hey, my name is Karen when I'm at a restaurant and trying to get my order back, they always look at me like, wait, are you for real? Your name's really Karen? I'm like, yeah, I'm really Karen. Oh, but I am not that Karen.
But you are the youngest Karen that I know.
Yeah,
and
there aren't very many.
You're the best looking Karen I've ever met.
Oh, man.
So today I've got Karen as a special guest on the podcast. She's like a regular guest when we're doing Supercross stuff, which Karen has some Supercross news to talk about as well. But today we're going to be talking about the top 10 reasons to let your husband buy a dirt bike. And so Karen's going to be speaking to the wives. So basically what's going to happen here is, Karen, we're going to record this. Everyone's going to be graced, with your voice.
Oh, man.
And those dudes are gonna then, hey, send this over to their wife, and it's gonna really,
I hope so.
It's gonna affect relationships. People are gonna get vulnerable. People are gonna have, they're gonna have a good.
They're gonna have more connection, more support,
all those things. So the catalyst for this is it was a video idea that I had a couple of years ago. I don't know. It was Karen and we had it, and I put it out on YouTube. Karen actually gave me. I asked her to put 10 reasons for a husband, to let your husband buy a dirt bike. And we put this video out a little over 2 years ago on YouTube. I titled it, She Gives 10 Reasons to Buy a Dirt Bike or something like that on YouTube. And it has 217,000 views. So, Karen, your views, your thing has reached 18.3 thousand hours of watch time. So, can you imagine that?
That's pocket change for the rest of your video.
No, it isn't. That's one of the better videos. My videos usually don't get more than 10 or 15,000 views.
See how much I study his analytics.
Some of them only get 6,000 views, and this one has 217,000. So that's good.
Okay.
You did a good job on that. And I've had a lot of email from people over the years that said, "Hey, that was one of my favorite videos, and I showed this to my wife, and she let me get a dirt bike." And
yay!
It's just a fun way to kind of talk about this sport. But I think it's a valid thing. But and so I want to talk about that today with Karen. But before we do that, Karen, you told me an update on some Supercross stuff. Do you want to tell the listeners what that is?
Yeah. So I just pulled up my Instagram this morning as I was eating breakfast. I do not have COVID. I just have a frog in my throat. Welcome to a podcast. And I was looking, and Cooper Webb was my top little story at the top of my Instagram. And he had posted a picture of him on a dirt bike and then a green dirt bike beside him. And lo and behold, it was Eli Tomac. And I couldn't figure out what they're doing together. And so I read the caption, and it says, back on the grind, new training partner for the year. Can't wait for 2021 at Eli Tomac.
Which is crazy because those guys are rivals, right?
Yeah, they don't really like each other.
Well, you wouldn't think. They've had a couple run-ins together, and
yeah. Some heat. Definitely some heat through the years.
And those two have been battling each other for the last 3 years. They've been their primary competitors.
Yeah. So there was this guy, I thought it was funny. He just commented, and he commented my thought as soon as I read it. So I resonated with this guy. But he said, I'm going to be completely honest with everyone here. I did not see that coming. And a whole bunch of people were posting, and they're like, maybe it was just a photo shoot for Bell Helmets or something. So maybe it is.
Could be.
But I don't know. Maybe Eli's getting soft now that he's a dad. Who knows? Who knows?
Eli's probably on his way out of the sport since he's a dad, because once you become a dad, basically your career in professional racing is it's on the downhill slide.
Because you've got better things waiting for you in fatherhood. Let's be honest.
Well, because you have to be so flippin' selfish with all of your time and all of your energy in order to, perform at that highest level. That's difficult. Like, you can't really be splitting time. Anyway, just something interesting. We'll be doing our regular podcast on the Supercross season once we get into that, probably January. They've released some of their schedule.
And hopefully we can go to one of them.
Yeah, well,
COVID.
They've got a bunch of them in Texas. There's a few in Houston, and then there's a few in Phoenix.
And then the last one
is in Utah, and they're still. I think they haven't released all of the races, like where they're going to be, because they don't really know. COVID is kind of like an evolving thing, but. Let's get into this top 10 reasons to let your husband buy a dirt bike. That's the real reason that I wanted to bring Karen on, and just to let everyone hear her perspective on this. So, did we agree that these things are kind of in no particular order? These 10 things?
Absolutely. And some of them may apply to you more than others, but for me, these are my top 10. As we go through the list, so they're not in any order in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start then.
So
you got distracted.
No, I just saw another list that I had done from this. Hopefully you can still read all this on the computer screen. But the number one thing, and I think this is in no particular order, but the way that you described it before to me when I was doing the description for the YouTube video, I think this is the order.
Okay.
This was the order that you asked me to do it 2 years ago. So maybe we can use that as kind of a thing here. But I'll let you go with what you think is, the first reason you want to talk about, even though it's in no particular order.
Okay. So the first one here, it says it makes him a better man. He gets to recharge. Kyle's moving the screen on me, so now I gotta fiddle around here. I have no idea where it went. Okay.
Right here.
Stop it. I don't know if you know, but Kyle is a multitasker. And so he gets stuff done, and he's got a lot of things going on in his brain. So anyway, so number one, here we go. You can edit this part out. It makes him a better man. He gets to recharge and gives him something to be proud of. And this translates over into other areas of his life. And so I think with this one kind of spills into a couple other of the top reasons why I think you should let a husband have a dirt bike. But it does give them something to say, hey, this is what I accomplished, or this is what I've learned, or, it gives them a really good outlet and a good place to be, in a mental status part.
It's interesting that's the way what you said. It makes him a better man, and I don't know. I guess it's probably not the actual act of or the dirt bike, the physical thing that makes him a better man, but being able to recharge and connect with yourself and be proud of it helps in so many different ways. It reminds me of the podcast I did with Dr. Dom about I think I titled it supercharging your mental health. And without going back and looking at my notes on that conversation I had with him, he was just talking about all the really tangible mental health benefits from having something like this in your life, and how he's a psychologist. He's a medical doctor. Well, I shouldn't say I know he's a medical doctor. He's a psychologist. He's extremely well versed in this. This is what he does for a living, and he's also a dirt biker. Sorry, Dr. Dom, I don't have my notes up in front. I don't have my notes up in front of me, so I don't have your bio right in front of me. But it was a fascinating conversation with him that kind of validated a lot of things that I had been feeling, and also validated a lot of things that you had been mentioning here about recharging and becoming and being present and just helping you to cope with life. And have like a stress reliever also.
Yeah.
So that's a really fantastic one. And obviously there are other things that you could, other activities that you could engage in that would possibly do that. But this is a fantastic way for your, for a man or for a woman to recharge and give them something to be proud of.
Right.
I think for me, it's the thing that I'm it's the activity that I've been able to do that I'm the most proud of, that has given me the most confidence. And when I have just confidence that I can do things, I'm not the best rider out there, but it's fun to look back and see your progression, and that's a really
and for
satisfying thing.
I'm not a big dirt biker. I grew up a dancer, and that's what's given me that same feel, that same recharge, something to be proud of for myself. And so with that, I can support Kyle in knowing that gives that same thing to him as dance has done for me in my life.
Very good. Very good. So then number 2, what's our second reason here?
Well, this one says it keeps my man in shape. So you have to stay healthy and fit to be able to ride and to accomplish a lot of the enduro riding that you do. And so, yeah, that's what I love about that one. Looking at the muscle tone,
Yeah, because I'm such a muscle man over here. But I haven't consistently worked out in my life. There were times, when I was around 20, 22, where I went to the gym, I would do some weightlifting, but a lot of that was just, social. I was in college and had some buddies that wanted to go to the gym. I've never been a big gym guy, and I haven't had a gym membership ever since we got married. Mm-hmm. But in the last 5 years, the latter half of my riding career, I have done some sort of workouts, whether it was on the rowing machine, whether it was on the skier, or on just a stationary bike, to stay in shape. And I feel like it really helps me mentally, and so
and physically, right?
Yeah. And because I want to be able to, keep up with other riding buddies that I have. And I found that
I know Tyler and Kevin, they just rip on.
Scott, all the different guys that I've ridden with over the years, Sam and different people. It really has made a big difference to me, like my physical conditioning. I remember there were at least one riding buddy I had in particular, where I remember as soon as I started to kind of row and get a little bit stronger, and I haven't even done a lot of strength training or anything. I haven't done really any strength training. But as soon as I started to focus just a teeny bit on my physical fitness, my ability to ride, my stamina increased on the bike. And that was, that's important. And oftentimes when I'm sitting there, like yesterday when I was doing the rower, I hate it. Like the rower sucks so bad. But I've done, several million meters on that thing. And every day that I do it, like yesterday morning, I'm just like, I'm hot, I'm sweaty. My muscles are telling me to stop. Everything is telling me to stop. But I'm just thinking like, this is kind of the pain that I feel here is going to help me the next time I'm under a little bit of duress on the bike. So,
Awesome.
and you like that part.
I do like that part. All right. Number 3, it's a great way for him to bond with the kids. So no matter if you have young kids, old kids, they're grown, if they're able and willing to get them on the bike too, and then it becomes a little bit more of a family affair. And there's lots of real lessons that can be taught from a parent to a child. So moms alike. So if you moms ride, dads ride, get your kids out there too. And then there's lots of really neat lessons. And Kyle's posted a lot of videos about, riding with the kids, and mostly the boys lately, because our daughter, Kaylee, she doesn't really love it as much as they do. But that has been fun for me to watch, as sometimes it's a scary thing. But I love watching Kyle be able to instill confidence in our boys and raise men. And I love that fact about riding with your kids. So,
yeah, I think it's a fantastic way for you to spend time, because if you really stop and think about it, how does a person know if they're important to you?
Yeah,
it's how much time you spend with them. So, and obviously dirt biking is an expensive thing, but what it really gives you the ability to spend more time with those kids and develop those relationships. It makes me think of another. I had a wise older gentleman. He was when he told me this, he was in his 70s, and he said, you know what saved my relationship with my son? He had a a teenager later in parenthood. I think it was kind of like his youngest son. And he said, the thing, I was losing my son. We were completely far apart, and he hated me and didn't want to spend time with me. And he was like 15, 16, right in there. And he said, our relationship was just kind of on the rocks. And then one day he noticed that his son would go boating with his other friends, and they would go boating and they would try to go wakeboarding or anything or something like this. And he said, I decided to buy a boat. Mm-hmm. And I said, we'll go wakeboarding or water skiing or whatever as much as you want. The only caveat is I have to be there on the boat. And so the kid's like, okay, great. So then the next few years, he spent all this time with his son and his son's friends. And he said that literally saved my relationship with my son. And it really didn't have anything to do with the boat. The boat was kind of like the vehicle but what it was is he got to spend time with him in a recreational thing where they were, learning and growing and bonding. And so he said that boat saved my relationship with my son. And he's like, I'm so thankful for it. And dirt bikes are a similar thing. And so if you can spend time with your family and spend time with the kids and bond with the kids and help them to like get more, confidence and self-esteem and those types of things, that's an awesome thing that you can do. And dirt biking is a family sport. I get emails from people all the time talking about how, their wives are into it or their girlfriends are into it or their, sons and daughters, and they're going out and doing it together as a family. And they send me these pictures of, selfies with, a proud dad or sometimes a proud mom holding her phone up with a selfie, taking a picture of them and the kids. And it's a real thing.
I love it. Okay, we're going to go on to the next one. I've got two lists here, so maybe you can look at the second one over there that I can't see very well. So number 4 is it keeps him mentally sharp. And so some things that I can think of that go with that, because I love Supercross, I can only imagine being Cooper Webb or Marvin Musquin or Eli Tomac and just thinking about how many decisions do you have to make every second. They're all of the speed control and clutch and being aware of your surroundings and how fast you need to go for that turn and the angle to lean and looking at the ruts and how deep they are. Are you going to make it? And where are you at in the lineup? Who do you need to pass to get on the podium? And the same thing can be applied to, a desert race or a enduro ride. You're winding through the trees and you don't know what's around the next turn, and you have to be just mentally sharp and ready. And I think when we can make our brains more mentally sharp, that does translate into every part of our lives. And you think about like older people, they do crossword puzzles and things like that to keep their brains sharp. And so why not start while you're younger to keep pushing your brain to be able to make decisions fast and to have the capacity to have that brain power while you're younger. I love that part about dirt biking, and I can see that in the videos that Kyle posts and also Supercross.
Yeah, there are times that I wish that there was like a way that you could kind of download the output from your brain, like your brain activity. And I guess, they probably have some monitors or something that you can do that. You can certainly see that with a heart monitor, which I don't have. But this idea, this idea of being mentally sharp, it's a real thing. I did service back earlier in my life as a missionary. I would go to these little, for lack of a better term, old folks homes and different places, and you would come into these people and do service with them. And just like Karen said, there are certain people that the more active they were even mentally, the better able they were to cope with their lives and then happier they were. And I would see these guys that would be doing like huge puzzles every day, these massive puzzles, putting them together. And they were so good at it and they were so mentally sharp at it. And it's a real thing. I've also ridden with many, many different people that are 70 years old and older. even more than 80 years old, that are riding dirt bikes, and you are making so many decisions so fast that it does keep you mentally sharp. Your brain is, it's like a muscle. If you stop using it, if you slow down with it, it starts to kind of atrophy. Mm-hmm. I think it's just like anything else in our lives, and staying mentally sharp is going to be a big thing that I'm going to be trying to focus on as I get older. And hopefully it will pay dividends. But as I look at some of the different people in my life, my parents and grandparents that I've kind of watched, I've seen how, complacency with certain people can really start to affect their quality of life, their mental health, and how happy they are. And so dirt biking is one of those really great ways that you have to process so many things so fast. And it doesn't even matter, like, as you're beginning, okay, so you're not going as fast, or maybe the trails aren't as difficult, but you're still processing a lot of information. It's one of the great things about bikes is that it requires a lot out of you. It's not like a car, or it's not like just driving your car down the freeway. That requires a certain amount of mental focus. It's not like a UTV or a four-wheeler where you can just, anyone can get on and do it. A dirt bike requires balance. It requires a lot of different things: clutch control, throttle control, braking touch, all of these types of things where it demands a lot out of you. And that's one of the reasons why it's so great, and it can help you to stay mentally sharp. It's a pretty cool thing. And I think a lot of people overlook that aspect of it, but because it's challenging, that's where it's it's rewarding for me.
Awesome. Okay, so number 5. This one, you're going to think, what is she talking about? But I'll explain it. So it says he is likely to be less addicted to a substance when he is addicted to his dirt bike. And I feel like there are a lot of stresses in life. It could be financial. It could be, mental health. It could be relationships. It could be a myriad of things that are a stress to you. And we need good coping mechanisms in our life. Every single human being on the earth has stresses, and every single human being needs a good coping mechanism. And I feel that dirt biking can be that for many people. You can get on a dirt bike and just get your stress out and just go for it. And so sometimes, I hope I have permission to say this, but Kyle, if he's having a rough day or he's getting frustrated easily, sometimes I'll just say, hey, go for a ride. You need to go right now. and he sometimes will, right when I say it. And so that is a really good benefit to your spouse having a dirt bike, is that it is a good, positive coping mechanism in their life.
So why do you think, like, what in those times where you've said, hey, you need to go out and ride your dirt bike, and I come back, what are some of the things that you noticed as I would come back?
Oh man. So you're happier, you're calmer, you're thinking with the right part of your brain rather than the back part of your brain that's more emotional driven. You're thinking with the front part of the brain, which is more logical and calm. And that helps me as your wife, and the kids respond easier to you when you are able to think in the front part of your brain, when you're calm and you've gotten the stress out of you. And so I think, a lot of people will turn to alcohol or drugs or pornography. Those kinds of things are not good for you. And it has lasting and damaging effects to you and your family. And so if ever we can replace those negative coping mechanisms with positive ones in our lives, that, I say, is a absolute win, 100% win.
Yeah, so it's just some of the things that I've been learning in the last couple of years, the idea of a coping mechanism. And I think that most of the people that I know are kind of ill-equipped to cope with stress. And that's where a lot of these other addictions and different things can come from. And I see them in my life. I've had to deal with them and continually deal with those types of things. And I never really realized, even 2 years ago when we initially did the video for YouTube, I never really realized that dirt bikes were one of my coping mechanisms. But I can see it now. I can see it quite clearly now. And the other thing I know is I need multiple ways to cope with stresses that happen in my life because I can't just go dirt biking every day or every hour. There are other things that I need to do to try to cope with things. And it's one of the things I talk about with my counselor. And I would suggest, there's probably a bunch of people that are like, oh, Kyle sees a counselor. I do. I see in the last couple of years, I've started seeing a counselor every so often to help me kind of work through some of these things. And we've started even in marriage counseling, and we've had major benefit from it. And so, not that this turns into a counseling session, but this idea of being, less likely to become addicted if you have healthy coping mechanisms, that is a real thing, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And that's one of the things that I get out of dirt biking is, it helps me to cope with the stress in my life. So thanks for bringing that up.
All right. Okay, number 6. He gets to get out and appreciate the beautiful earth that we live in and see things most people will never see in their life. And oftentimes, the trails that Kyle takes and many of the listeners here take, will take you in the middle of nowhere on some really beautiful trail. And to get there by foot or even on a horseback, it would take you hours or days, whereas on a dirt bike, it can just take sometimes 30 minutes or 15, I've heard. And I just think that's a really special thing because the world we live in is so beautiful, and to get up and to get out into nature really does something for you, and to see the beauty of the world. That's just something I hope that people don't take for granted.
Well, and I think what that really means to me as I think about that is being able to go out and see the beautiful earth. That really just helps me to get grounded, and it helps to humble me. It helps me to realize how small I am kind of in this world and in this universe, and how grand everything else is. And that really helps me to feel thankful. I can't tell you how many times coming back from a dirt bike ride, it's usually the way when I feel it the most is when the bike is in the truck, it's all dirty, and I've changed back into my, street clothes or whatever, and I'm driving down a canyon or something. There are so many times where I've just had this, I don't want to be too dramatic and say like an overwhelming feeling of gratitude, because it isn't overwhelming, but it's kind of staggering sometimes when you feel those feelings and be like, I am so grateful to have been able to do this. And it'll happen sometimes too. If when I'm out on the ride, it'll just hit me and be like, wow, this is so amazing. A lot of times when I'm out there seeing some of these beautiful things, most often what I think about is, man, I wish I could bring my family here. And unfortunately, some of those places I'm thinking, well, shoot, Karen will probably never be able to come to this exact spot with me because of the difficulty of the trail getting here or whatever. But I think about my boys and I'm like, I will absolutely bring them here. It will take 5 years. There are times when I'm like, it'll take a decade before they're ready to come here. And now I'm thinking, oh, it's 5 years and maybe it's 3 years. And now I'm taking them in some of these places right now, this year where I just wanted to bring them. And it's so fun. And it's one of the best things about dirt bikes is the places that they can take you. It doesn't matter if it's in the mountains or in the desert. You get to see some things that are just absolutely incredible in a short amount of time, in a compressed amount of time, that there's really no other vehicle on earth that can do that for you. And it's pretty cool, humbling, and rewarding.
Geez, it makes me want to get on a dirt bike now. 5 years, here I come. Oh, heaven help me in my back.
I'll buy you a bike. We'll make it pink if you want.
Oh, I would only do it if it was pink. Okay, or KTM. Okay, so here we go.
KTM really doesn't have a bike for you.
No, it doesn't.
Maybe the free ride.
I don't know what that is, but
the free ride would be the only one that I would want to ever put you on.
Okay, number 7. On that note, it helps with problem solving because that is a skill to solve a problem. And so, when you have something happen on your bike, you're forced to fix it because a lot of times you can't give up. You can't just stop where you are and say, okay, well, I guess that's it for today. You could be 30 miles from your truck. And so problem solving is a skill because you have to look at it from different angles and figure things out and use different parts of your brain and get creative sometimes. I still love how Tyler fixed that one part with the piece of his food package. You're right. I just love that. I don't even know what it was, but
he's a very good problem solver. And he loves to do that stuff. Like anytime we break something on a bike, he's the first one down in there, like kind of like, here, let me get right in here, And so a lot of times I'll just back off, but problem solving is something a lot of people don't think about.
Yeah, for sure. Over there, I can't read what it says. It says it also helps with problem solving or troubleshooting, because that is a skill. When crap happens, you're forced to fix it. You can't just give out. There's no easy outs. So that does spill over into all kinds of areas of your life, knowing that your husband is now, working on solving problems and not just giving up. Because a lot of times in the world we live in, we're instant gratification type of people. And when you're on a trail, you don't have that. You've got to figure things out. So that's what I think.
Yeah, and it's incredible what you can come up with to solve certain problems. If you think about your life, really, you can kind of boil it down to like you're just solving problems all day long. Whether if you are a salesperson in a sales job, if you are in IT, like you code, computer programmer, if you're in the healthcare industry, what you're really doing all day long is just solving problems. You're like, here's a problem. I need to find the solution for it. And it's really fun and rewarding to see how many times those problems come up as you're dirt biking. It might just be a problem of, I'm right here and I need to get up this ledge. How do I do that? How do I solve that problem? Or I've got a throttle cable that's broken. And how do I get back to the truck? How do I solve this problem in the most efficient way, to get me back? And it's funny too, because some of those times that we've had problems, whether it was with flat tires or moose bib problems or throttle body problems or throttle cable problems, or somebody explodes their clutch perch or their clutch lever or their brake lever or any of these types of things, you end up trying to solve these problems out there in the wild. And yeah, at times it can put a damper on a ride or something, but also it puts a new color on that ride. And then you make that new memory, and I've got a lot of those types of memories. As I think back, I think about, there's a lot of rides that I don't really remember anything about them because nothing went wrong. If something goes wrong on the ride, you're actually more likely to remember it and more likely to, think about the things that you did to get out of it. And then in a way, those rides mean more than the others. So that problem solving it sticks in your mind. It's a skill. And I do think that Karen was onto something when she said that it can spill over into other aspects of your life. If you're mindful, if we're mindful enough to really stop and think about it, a lot of these skills can spill over into the other parts of our lives.
Nice. All right. Number 8. This one's fun for me. But dirt bikes keep him young. So mentally young, physically young. And I feel like he stays more fun. And I thrive in the world of fun. So I love to laugh. I love to be silly. And whenever he's riding more consistently and the stresses of life are lessened, he is more fun. And that's really a good thing to me. And so I love that dirt bikes keep him young.
Yeah, I mean that goes, and as I'm looking over this list, I think some of these things are really relate to each other, because the next one we've kind of already talked about. But dirt bikes keeping you young, that's kind of like really related to that mentally sharp thing that we talked about before. But you have a different spin on it now because you're talking about how it keeps you young and more fun and just more humorous or something like this. It doesn't like turn me into a comedian or anything, but she thinks that it keeps me younger.
There's a difference in his personality when he's got back from a fun ride. It keeps him fun longer. And so I like that part.
I get into those modes where I want to tell you guys the story.
Uh-huh.
Here's what
he
happened.
is a storyteller. I mean, you all know because you hear him tell stories, everything. But at home, that's what he does. He tells stories all the time, especially right after a ride. And the kids are just sitting on the edge of their seat. Even our little 3-year-old is like, what? Dad did what? He saw a moose, or whatever it is.
Hey, you saw a moose last week, though.
I did see a moose
In a parking lot.
10 feet away from me. That was so awesome. Okay. Not about that. All right. Number 9. It's a good stress reliever. And so, like we talked about earlier, it's a little different, this one, because when you have stress, you have to change your mind and do something else to kind of like just table it for a second, and then you can come back to your stresses. And oftentimes your stress doesn't seem as intense as when you left it, if you come back a little bit better. And so I feel like with dirt biking or any kind of outdoor recreation, it's a good stress reliever because you've got the stresses of life, and then you go ride and you go see the beautiful world, and you figure all these problems out. You're feeling good about yourself, or even if you got hurt, like you did something you did it while you were doing something you love. And then you come back home and your stresses are still there, but the way you look at them might be different. They might be lessened if you let it. And so I love that part about Kyle riding his dirt bike as a stress reliever.
Yeah. So it really is. It does help me in all those ways. I think I've probably talked enough about stress relieving and coping mechanisms there. So,
okay.
What's our last one?
Number 10. Drum roll, please. Okay. So it's not as dangerous as you think. So dirt biking has a bad rap. And Kyle did a video a long time ago that has really just stayed with me. And I've been able to share it with a lot of other wives and moms that I know. Whenever their families are wanting to buy, for instance, a four-wheeler or a side-by-side, and they're trying to decide that or dirt bikes, and they'll come ask me what my thought is. And I think about this video that you posted a long time ago about how, four-wheelers can be more dangerous because when you are on it, you're a little more confident because you're on four wheels and you go faster. And then if you tip over, it's going to land on you. But if you tip over on a dirt bike, it's oftentimes will slide out from under you. And so you've got this however many 1,000-pound machine of a four-wheeler falling on top of you. And, bad things can really happen there. And also, can you read that one about this one over there? I can't see it from here.
Yeah, you said, and I can comment on this stuff, but what you said is, to some it may seem dangerous, and while it does have some risks, it's safer than street bikes, four-wheelers, etc. But wearing all of his gear, it protects him from 95% of those things. And when putting on gear, it's like his armor, and he can remember how important he is to the rest of us. You mean the family?
Yeah.
It's a reminder that he's worth something to someone and needs to ride smart and safe.
Yeah. So if your husband or whoever it is, a son or someone has a dirt bike, or your wife, if she's the rider in the family, then putting on all of the gear, not just a pair of boots or a helmet. I see that often even in our own neighborhood where kids will just be ripping up the street in just a helmet and flip-flops or something. And I just get so nervous. And so if you're putting on all of the stuff, right? So I'd even go as far as a chest protector and your gloves and your helmet and your goggles and your boots and your long sleeve thick riding jersey and your long pants. Those things are a real tangible reminder that you matter and that you need to take care of yourself and to be safe and smart when you ride. And so when you have all of the gear, just remember that you matter and you are important to the rest of your family.
Yeah, thank you for that. I can attest. So I grew up riding four-wheelers. In our family, my dad had motorcycles. He had some dual sport bikes that he still has. They're the type of bike, the first bike that I rode really was from my dad. It was a 1975 Honda 250 XL. It's basically a street bike that you can take down a gravel road as well. And so but most of my time, I started riding four-wheelers when I was 6. And I rode four-wheelers, we've even had four-wheelers in our marriage. So I've ridden four-wheelers my entire life for, let's say I'm almost 40. So I've ridden four-wheelers for about 35 years. I've technically really only been riding dirt bikes for about 10. I can straight up tell you and look anyone in the eye without blinking and tell them that dirt bikes are more safe than four-wheelers. I just did it to Karen. I just looked at her right in the eyes.
That's why I laughed.
I just looked her right in the eyes and I said, dirt bikes are safer than four-wheelers. I believe that to be true. And I'm not going to back down from that. And I would much rather have my kids on dirt bikes than four-wheelers. A four-wheeler is anywhere from 300 to 1,000 pounds. The side-by-sides, we won't even get into the side-by-sides. Side-by-sides are 2,000 pounds. But the last four-wheeler we owned was 850 pounds, Karen.
Oh.
And all of our kids could ride it and drive it. And you feel so safe on a four-wheeler that it gives you tons of confidence. You don't have to have any background in anything. Like, it's so easy. You just get on and boom, hit start it, push the thumb throttle and go. Yeah. And it gives you so much confidence that within 10 seconds of riding any of these modern four-wheelers, people can kill themselves. They could even have all the gear on that they want. They could have a helmet, they could have boots, they could have all these things on, and still within 10 seconds of getting on that 800-pound machine, it's got so much power. You just hit the gas and like flip around. The thing can flip over on you. Your handlebars goes into your sternum, kills you.
Yeah. I
did have a stepsister die of internal bleeding on a four-wheeler. It would have been impossible for that to happen if she had been on a dirt bike. A dirt bike, you can't just jump on it within 10 seconds and kill yourself unless you happen to be right by a 100-foot cliff and you started riding right by a 100-foot cliff and drove straight off of it. That'd be the only way that you could ever kill yourself on a dirt bike within 10 seconds. But you can do that on a side-by-side. I can't tell you how many times I've seen, and part of the reason why people get hurt on these other machines is because they're not wearing any of the safety gear. Because it's almost like a cultural thing, like, I don't need that helmet. I don't need that because I'm on my four-wheeler and look how stable I am. And you're not as stable as you think. It gives you this false sense of security. And next thing you know, and just like Karen said, when a four-wheeler tips, it takes you with it. You don't get any separation from it. There are hills that I've taken my boys on, even just the last time we went riding. They're like, hey, Dad, do you think I could make it up that hill? I'm like, I don't know. Let's try it. And I will send them up nasty hills, whatever, if they want to. I can tell you there is no flipping way that I would send my kids up some of these hills if we were on four-wheelers. No way. It would be so irresponsible of me because the four-wheeler powers out and then it starts to roll down the hill and people can die. Obviously, not everyone dies every time the four-wheeler rolls down a hill, but I'm telling you, your chances of being injured on a four-wheeler are higher. The bad rap thing comes with dirt bikes because they see people doing stupid things out in the desert, doing fifth gear, wide open pin things, and then they break their back. That doesn't happen that often. I've been riding for 10 years. I've rarely gotten hurt. I've broken a pinky. I did tear an ACL on a trials bike at 0 miles an hour. But the thing is like all these things that have happened, I really have almost zero injuries. I have been hurt multiple times worse on four-wheelers than I have on dirt bikes. And the stuff I was doing on four-wheelers wasn't nearly as intense as what I'm doing on dirt bikes.
And playing softball, you got hurt.
Exactly. I got hurt just as bad playing softball, one time with ripping a ligament in my foot, just like hitting the ball and then taking off to first base.
Yeah.
Where I've ripped ligaments in my foot, or I think, sprained things. I've sprained ankles, riding a wave runner, sprained an ankle because I fell off the thing and we were, in 3 feet of water and somebody landed on me. You're going to get hurt in anything that you do, but dirt bikes, it's not nearly as dangerous as people think, and especially because you have to kind of build your skills up, and then as you build those skills over time, your propensity to crashing is actually reduced. Mm-hmm. When you first start riding, you crash more than as you get going. Your skills increase over time and your speed increases, but generally speaking, your crash factor goes down.
Crash factor.
You figure out how to stay on two wheels. And even when you don't stay on two wheels, you've got a helmet on, you got boots on, you got all these safety things on, and it really helps. It is. And I've told this to people. This is something else that I believe. I believe I'm in more danger driving my truck to the riding location than I am when I'm actually riding the bike.
Yeah.
I believe that. Like, I don't
or
know.
the minivan to the store.
Yeah, because there's so many people out there. Like, people die on the roads every day. Now, obviously, you could be like, well, Kyle, if we had as many people riding dirt bikes, it would be. So I don't want to get into, but I do feel like I'm in more control of what happens to me once I get on the bike. When I'm driving my truck down the road, I don't feel like I have control of a lot of things. A lot of things could happen that could kill me. Whereas on the bike, it's reduced, I believe. So I always feel it's more dangerous to drive the truck to the riding location than actually when I get on the bikes. So,
well, these are our top 10, mostly mine. Okay, they're all mine. But in just in closing here, we have these 10 that's just my opinion, and I will always stand up for them. I feel like dirt biking has really done a good thing for my husband and for my kids, even my daughter. I feel like when they are able to accomplish hard things and kind of master a new skill, there's a new pep in their step. And so these are my top 10 why your husband should have a dirt bike. So this is a perfect time of year. Go get him a dirt bike or enter into the drawing, the sweepstakes. Maybe you'll win one. Who knows? That could be you.
look at that, Karen going riding into a little promo.
Hey, I didn't even get told to do that. I just did it.
Yeah. What do we have going on right now with the dirt bikes?
So there's the big sweepstakes going on, and it ends December 15th.
Yeah, if you're listening to this video between now, which we're recording this on November 14th, so you've got about a month to go get
2020.
How do they get involved with that? How do they get entered to win one of those 3 bikes?
So you can just go to dirtbikechannel.com and just buy one of the items that are for sale, and then you'll be entered to win one of 3 bikes. And I wish you all the best of luck, because Grid Products, that Kyle's worked really hard to make sure the quality of the products that he sells. And then there's a chance for you to win a dirt bike. So good luck, everyone.
Yeah, and I just want to say in closing, especially now that we've got the music going here, this little bumper music, I just want to say that I am so thankful for having dirt bikes in my life. It has been the most rewarding thing that I've ever done. It's been the most challenging thing that I've ever done outside of relationships. Relationships are challenging. Being a father is challenging. Being a husband is challenging. And those things are ever evolving. But dirt bikes have given me a different aspect of my life to work on and to focus on and to become consumed by. And there is nothing else like it. It has changed my life. And it's changed my life for the better. And I don't ever want to give it up. It's incredibly important to me, and is important for me to continue to do that with my family. I feel like my sons are going to benefit from it. I feel like my daughters are going to benefit from it. And here I've just had my wife tell us all that she thinks that I benefit from it, from a mental health standpoint and from a relationship standpoint. And I think that's all a win-win. So if you're on the fence, climb down and get off. This is the perfect time for you to go out and get a dirt bike and leave a single track.